Yesterday, I uploaded the full AMA, and it took forever to get this uploaded, but I got this uploaded to the channel. I encourage you to watch this AMA. Anyone who's in the Manor Farm or you're in the Drip Network, it's important that you know what's going on. I mean, Forex Shark, I don't know the guy personally, but he comes off as a highly intelligent individual who understands token economics, or also tokenomics, better than any developer that I've had any contact with in this space. It's amazing how many developers miss subtle things. Like, I'll give you an example here in a moment, but first let me just say this. In this video, I'm gonna have just a questions portion. A lot of people have asked about the questions. Some people asked if I would do like a recap, and I'm not gonna do a recap for two reasons. Right now, I just don't have time. I would love to do that for you. I just don't have time. I know it's 3 hours, but ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to go watch this video, the full video, because if you're going to be investing in this space, it's up to you to understand what's going on in this space. There are people out there, myself included, who are biased by our own investments. I'm in the Manor Farm. I own the Rev token. I want it to do well. I will link this above. It'll be in the description. I do encourage you to listen to the entire thing for yourself. But in this video, just a questions portion. Some people have asked about the questions, and there were some good questions that came out because the Manor Farm is launching into the Animal Farm next week, and that's my understanding of what they're going to call Layer 2. The Layer 2 farm. So a lot of people had questions, what's going to happen there? And that came up. Also, a lot of people were talking about what's going on with the garden contract, what's going on with Drip, and a lot of good information specifically came up about that, and Forex Shark addressed that directly. This AMA was probably one of the better AMAs that I have ever been a part of anywhere in crypto. What I mean by that is he was just dropping such good announcements that should be positive. And I say should be positive for the ecosystem because anything can happen in crypto. I mean, who knows? This all could be gone tomorrow. Like, that's just crypto. You have to expect that. You have to diversify that. But while he was talking, the price went from the low 60s during this AMA, and it just kept climbing. And we ended up hitting, I think we broke 82 or 83 just within, that 3 hour period. It was nuts, from like 60 something to 80 something. And it was crazy to watch. Last night or this morning, the price went as high as it broke $90. And I think there's going to be some significant FOMO happening. You'll have to tell me what you think once you actually watch the Q&As and you watch the full video. If you want to know exactly what my plan is, what I'm doing, people always say, should I do this? Should I do that? I can't tell you what to do. But everyone who subscribes to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter, if you come down here, this is the Manor Farm link, the Drip links. If you come down here and Crypto Passive Profits newsletter, every single person who subscribes to this newsletter, I'm going to send out an email, give you exactly what my strategy, what I plan to do during, before, and after the transition. And this is my strategy. Use that as information to formulate your own strategy. And that's not advice for you, right? That's just me doing what I'm going to do and let you know that. So take that information, internalize it, do whatever you need to do. One of my commenters came down and said, some huge updates coming for sure. Grape AMA, Drip and Animal Farm all the way. It's too bad that people still haven't understood the potential of this farm and how it will be unique compared to every other farm out there once they realize that the price of Rev will skyrocket. Maybe the price skyrockets or not, but I will tell you, I mean, trying to be unbiased, there is an attempt to make this an insanely successful project. And the AMA goes into all those details. And thank you so much for watching. We'll go ahead and get started on the question portion of the AMA. I appreciate you being here. Do me a favor and smash that like button.
So I should probably answer some questions now. I'm going to give, let's say, 24 minutes to answering questions, right? Because I have some meetings that I have planned today, but I want to be able to get to some questions from the community. So I'm going to start right at the top.
Forex, some of these guys, they're muted in the chat too. Like, most of the people in the chat are muted. I unmuted like who I recognize, but I don't know. Like, some people may not be able to ask because they're muted.
Well, people that are muted by default can put their hands up. People that are muted like manually, that most likely means one of the admins muted them in the past, and I don't know why they muted them. I don't know what the deal is with it, but I'm not going to arbitrate that now during like an AMA. So we'll go with people that have their hands up and were not muted by admins in the past for whatever reason. And if you were muted at one point by admins, feel free to reach out to one of them. They'll reach out to me. We'll look into it. We'll most likely unmute you. We do it on an individual basis. I have no idea why. A lot of times people get muted because they come in and start talking about other projects or whatever the case is. But we handle on an individual basis. We don't like to mute people. So I can see that someone here that's like a big supporter of Drip is muted. So I've honestly I basically never mute anybody. So I don't really know why some people might be muted or not, but
I think it's like new members of the chat. They come in and they're automatically muted in the the voice chat.
Oh, okay. Well, we got a ton of people with their hands up, so I'm going to just start at the top and start answering these people that have their hands up already. All right, Wildman, you're up.
Hey, Wildman Crypto here. Thanks, Forex. Great AMA. I just wanted to focus on your comment that you made that 60% of the Rev liquidity is going to be moved to the Pig safe house. I think that's huge. And would you say that like 15 million at this point, based on the current value, would be moved to the Pig safe house, or is there some other calculation?
No, yeah, it's about 15 million. That's why I said tens of millions of dollars already. And we still have 5 more days to go. And I expect the vast majority of capital to come in the last couple of days. We already have $50 million ready to be paid out to the pig stakers. So this is why I'm saying very few people are doing it, but some people did, of course. You're always going to have it. People that are selling Rev right now in the launch phase, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're taking yourself out of the pool, which is about to get paid $15 million plus, and you're giving up your share of the platform to do it. So you're selling to get this small short-term gain, taking yourself out of an opportunity to not only own the most advanced, what will be the greatest performing yield farm lending protocol in the world, taking yourself out of the owner seat there, but you're also being extremely short-sighted because that BUSD that you just sold your Rev for, you would have got that plus a ton more if you had just got into the Rev pre-sale with those Rev tokens, staked in the pig pen, and been part of the pool that gets paid out $15 million plus. Now that $15 million plus, that's just in what's getting migrated over from L2 at this current point, right? There's going to be a ton more, because I expect a lot more to come in towards the end. Plus, it's going to be 4 to 6% of all the platform fees. It's going to be a share of all of the dog tokens that are swapped, which, we all know when something launches, you have that massive wave of TVL that comes in. So it's going to be like 4 to 6% of $50, $100 million on that initial wave of TVL, plus however many, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever $1 million, 3% of that, plus the 15 plus million that's going to be migrated over from L1. All of that's going to be paid out in the pig's governance pool. So yeah, that's you're looking at the right value there. It's already over $50 million that's going to be paid out to the pig governance pool for the people that get into that that L2 presale. That's not including the dev fees that or the deposit fees, I should say, for L2, which will get paid to them as well, and all of the taxes on the dog token, which will be paid to them. And you reminded me because I spoke to the importance of the pig token. I haven't spoken too much to the importance of the dog token and drip for L2. Now, the dog token is the only token that is a core asset on the platform that you can farm the pig tokens with. And it's the only individual asset, meaning the only pool, the dog token pool as an individual asset that allows you to farm the pig token. So it adds a major demand and a major utility for the dog token as the main vehicle on the platform to act as your doorway into ownership of the platform. So the dog token is the only token that you can farm the pig tokens as a single asset. It's also the farms for the dog token, farm BUSD and farm BNB. Dog BNB and dog BUSD has the highest multiplier and no deposit fee, and it's the only farm that allows you to farm the pig token. Plus, there's no deposit fee. Plus, it has the highest multiplier on the whole platform. So, so the dog token, you can't sleep on that because that's how you're going to accumulate your pig tokens. So, so yeah, just to wrap it back around, you're right. It's like over $50 million right now. That's going to get paid out like already to the pig stakers that get into the pre-sale.
That's amazing. And great game theory, by the way, on that dog pig token interaction. I mean, there's no reason for anyone to sell either token, which means the play right now. And I know you've said it over and over. I'm just emphasizing for anyone tuning in now, buy Rev token and hold. That's the only move right now. Yeah.
And then accumulate it through farming, you know, as much as you can as well, of course. So the, so $15 million, like you just said, will get paid to the pig stakers, right? A way to get the pig token at the best possible rate and the highest allocation is through getting into the pre-sale with Rev. So right now, you could sell your Rev token, you know, say you have $100 worth of Rev, you could sell your Rev token right now for BUSD and get $100 worth of BUSD, or you could swap it in the L2 pre-sale for dog and pig tokens. You get $120 worth for your $100, and now you're farming with the dog to earn the pig tokens to earn a greater share, and you have the pig tokens ready to stake. So now that $100 that you would have made for selling the Rev token, there you're going to make exponentially more than that, paid out to you in BUSD without ever needing to give up your share ownership, right? So, I mean, it's like, it's really a, it takes very little thought to understand this, how to take advantage of this game theory, which is important. You need to make it simple. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it couldn't be more obvious what the play is here. And I see that most people are getting it, right? So let me find someone else with their hands up.
Forex, if they need to be unmuted, they can leave the voice and rejoin. They will be unmuted.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Zion Energy. You gotta unmute yourself.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Thanks, Forex. Love what you're doing. Love the community. So question, during the 48-hour pause period, you mentioned that whatever the price of the Rev is going to be at, it's going to freeze at that point in time, and that's when it's going to get rolled over, and that's when the 20% will be applied. What will happen because Rev is going to be available on Pancake? What happens to that arbitrage? Because I have to imagine that people are going to be buying Rev however they can, right? So I have to imagine there's going to be some spread or there's going to be some movement in the price. How is that going to be affected in regards to determining what the price is going to be in the allocation for pigs?
All right, we're going to use one transaction to both remove liquidity and swap all of the Rev tokens that we've accumulated through the buybacks to remove that BUSD. So I expect the vast majority of people, once we hit that countdown and the 48-hour period starts and the farm is no longer emitting Rev tokens as a reward for being a liquidity provider, the majority of people will then remove their liquidity and swap the other side of that pool, the BUSD or BNB, for Rev token, right? So because at that point there's little incentive to be a liquidity provider, and all the incentive is on the side of being a rev holder. So then this should result in the vast majority of the liquidity pool being owned by the deployer, right? And then we can remove that liquidity, and any leftover BUSD in the liquidity pool, we can swap out with the rev that we've accumulated through the buybacks. So we should be able to remove in one quick sweep all of the BUSD and BNB liquidity as well. So essentially, we in one like quick swipe, we should be able to remove the vast majority of all the liquidity from the rev token. So at that point, yeah, there might be whatever, like $5,000 or $10,000 worth of liquidity in there, and people can do whatever they want with it. I mean, that's, but there's really no incentive to being a liquidity provider in that last 48 hours. So, so I believe that will handle itself from a just from a technical perspective, because we remove all the incentive to be a liquidity provider. People will remove liquidity, use that BNB or BUSD side to buy the rev token because the incentive goes from being a liquidity provider to a rev holder. So they do that. That leaves the vast majority of the liquidity pool, if not all of it, under the ownership of the deployer wallet. And then we can remove that liquidity by just, unpairing rev. And then if there's a little bit of BUSD, BNB left in the pool, we can remove it with the rev that we've accumulated to the buybacks. So that should handle that like quite nicely. And we don't so for all practical purposes, we can lock in that value that we removed all of the liquidity from. And if there's a few $1,000s worth of liquidity still on the contract, it's negligible. It's not going to change anything. And since all of the utility for rev at that point becomes using it for the pre-sale, I don't see any reason why anybody would want to be in there as a liquidity provider. They're just kind of shooting themselves in the foot. They could remove that liquidity, buy the rest of the rev, with that BUSD or BNB that they're providing liquidity with, and get into the pre-sale with it. So so that's the deal, right? So we don't need to set a price, say, all right, this is the price, and we remove liquidity. We can do it all in one transaction, and that price that we remove the liquidity and we do that transaction at will be the price that it's set at. So it's trustless as well. Everybody can go on BSC scan, see at what price we remove the liquidity, and know the value that they'll get for the rev token.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Hey,
All right.
Forex, what's your view on the Garden as of right now?
I see the Garden's operating very well. I'm not like super hyper focused on it because I'm, working on all this development, getting the L2 website up and all of that. But the Garden is working amazing right now. I see that capital is continuously coming into it. It's paying out very well. And I see that we've removed over $500,000 worth of drip from circulation, because there's a small fee on depositing drip on Manor Farm, and there's a small fee on depositing drip into the Garden, and all of that drip gets sent to the faucet tax pool. So we've removed over $600,000 worth of drip and sent it all to the tax pool. So the Garden is doing its job very well. It's remaining extremely sustainable. I noticed that people are using the BUSD that they get from the safe house, putting into the drip liberation contract and getting into the Garden with it. So, the Garden's it's designed to be a self-sustaining, self-functioning. We're going to migrate the front end over to L2 so people will be able to access the Garden from L2. And, the Garden's immutable. So there's no changes that we can make to it. There's no changes that we're going to make to it. So at any point, the demand starts to wane for it. The price, the buying power of new capital coming in is steadily increasing through our time multiplier. So say for whatever reason, the demand starts to wane and it goes a couple weeks, what happens is the price of plants starts to reduce and the buying power of new capital starts to increase. So it becomes attractive for new capital to come in again, and you get a second wave of capital and a second life breathed into it. So it's designed to be sustaining, and that's what it's doing. So, it's, of course, when we launch L2, we're going to promote the garden as part of L2, and it's doing its job. It's doing its job awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I saw Daily Guru. You had your hand up, and then you don't have your hand up anymore. But if you want me to call on you, you can put your hand up. All right. Well, you don't have it up right now, but I'll look for you again because obviously I know who you are. So, everything's moving fast. So, all right, Tamara, I'm gonna
Yeah.
All right, Tamara, I just clicked on you.
Hey, yeah, Forex. Hi. Thanks for all this explanation. So for me, it's always like, of course, a rocket science. But one thing I want to clarify for myself. So you said that within the 48 hours, those who have locked now, like for example, I have the LP, which is the BUSD with ref, and that is locked. So in 48 hours, what will happen is that you said you will unlock it, and then whatever BUSD you have left from this LP, with that you can buy additional ref. But at the same time, you said that it's gonna be it's not gonna be emitted anymore. So where am I gonna buy this additional ref for this remaining BUSD? That is my question.
All right. Well, it's not locked really. It's in the farm. Like your Rev BUSD is in the farm, but it's not locked. You can withdraw it at any point, right? We don't have any kind of locking function that's locking your capital into the farms or into the pools. So at the end of the 48 hours, the Rev is no longer emitting an APY. So the incentive for being a liquidity provider is not there anymore. Now, the full utility and the full use case for the Rev token is a pre-sale token for L2. You can remove that liquidity, right? It's as simple as removing your LP tokens from the farm, unpairing your Rev and your BUSD on PancakeSwap, and then using that BUSD or BNB to buy Rev on PancakeSwap. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have those Rev tokens, right? So right now there's two primary use cases for the Rev token. It's a farm reward token and a type of launchpad pre-sale token. So right now there's a lot of incentive to be a liquidity provider for it because you're getting those liquidity provider fees paid to you, plus you're getting more Rev paid to you as a farmer. When the 48-hour ends, you're now you're still getting your liquidity provider fees, but you're not getting an APY through the farm. So now the incentive shifts, and that use case shifts from being a farm reward token and launchpad token to just a launchpad token pre-sale token. And now you can unpair and you can do whatever you choose to do. Of course, I know the majority of people are going to want to have a larger allocation in Rev so they can get into that L2 pre-sale with the highest possible allocation at the best possible price. So they will take that LP token, remove liquidity, use the BNB or the BUSD side of it, and buy more Rev with it. This is this is what the 48-hour countdown is for. It's to give everybody some advance notice to now remove liquidity and to buy Rev if you want to buy Rev, because at that point that's the only place to get it. And for people that have not been part of L1 that have been promoted L2, now it's their chance to buy Rev as well, because they can't get it through farming anymore. Now they can buy it off the market. So I expect to see a massive price appreciation in that last 48 hours as people stock up on their rev, remove liquidity, and buy. And when you remove liquidity and then buy, your that increases the impact that buy pressure has. So you're essentially taking that liquidity that is split between both pairs and adding it just to the buy side. So it's going to cause like a massive spike in price appreciation. And then that all of that value that is added to the price of rev is then removed and migrated over to L2, where it's paid out both in the pig pen, 60% of it, and the other 40% goes directly towards price appreciating the dog and pig token through buybacks, right? And all of this capital is paid out over the first about 50 days of L2. So it's tens of millions of dollars just on that migration. And then also we're going to have that massive wave of TVL at the launch of L2 and all of the taxes associated that go towards
amazing.
Yeah. So there's going to be a ton of capital paid out to those who get into the L2 presale and farm and stake with those tokens.
Yeah, only now I realize the power of having this rev token,
Yeah, well, I'm glad you do. So that's what this is about. This is about trying to make everybody aware, because I want everybody to have as fair as a shot as possible. I don't want anybody to say, well, they didn't know, right? That's so I'm trying to be out here answering as many questions as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
What will determine the pre-launch price, and how long will the pre-launch last?
So the pre-launch price, it's going to be a set price. So if I did the math right now, I could determine the price off the top of my head. I don't know what it is, but it's essentially well, I could tell you what the pre-launch and launch price would be right now based on how much capital we're migrating over. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the capital that was migrated over from L1 to L2, and we're going to raise a portion of this in BUSD. And this BUSD that we raise is going to be what we use for the initial liquidity. So without knowing how much capital we're migrating over, it's impossible to know what the starting price of the dog and pig tokens will be. I could tell you what it would be based on the current amount that's being migrated over, but I would have to do the math, and it's I don't know off the top of my head because the value is always changing, and it's not something that I'm constantly doing the calculations for. But what's really most relevant isn't the price of the token. It's in a vacuum, it's the price of the token relative to the pre-sale price, right? So the listing price relative to the pre-sale price. And the listing price will be 20% higher than the price relative to what you would get if you got in with Rev, and 10% higher relative to what you would get if you got in with BUSD. So I can tell you that, it's going to be that percentage higher over pre-sale because that value is independent on how much capital we migrate over. The exact dollar figure of the price, I can't tell you until we know how much capital is being migrated over. But it's really kind of irrelevant, right? Whether it's $100, $1,000, that's what decimals are for. It's kind of irrelevant. It's in a vacuum. What matters is what's the listing price relative to what you'll get in pre-sale, and those values are known.
And has the pre-launch length of time been determined?
What do you mean by that?
Like how long will the pre-launch last before the token is actually launched for the general public?
Do you mean pre-sale?
Yeah, pre-sale.
Well, every raise I've ever done sells out instantly. So the pre-sale will likely be over in seconds. So on Tuesday, we start a 48-hour countdown, and on Thursday, we'll do the launch of L2. So, on Thursday is when we'll do the pre-sale raise and the launch. We're going to handle it on the same day, and likely it's going to the pre-sale will sell it instantly. Every pre-sale I've ever done has sold out in seconds, and there's no reason why this would be any different. I mean, this is the most bullish pre-sale I've done to date. So, and
but you'll have to physically take your Rev and buy dog and pig tokens, or will that just, since Rev has gone away, will that just automatically go into pig and dog tokens?
The way it will work is we'll have a front end that allows you to swap your Rev for P dog and P pig tokens. Not one or the other. When you swap your Rev token, you will get both a P dog and a P pig token. It will be sent to your wallet, and this will be open for a period of time. So it's not going to be open indefinitely, but it's so the raise in USD that will take seconds because we have a hard cap. It will hit the hard cap. That will be over. We'll have some period that allows people to swap their Rev for PRev, and it doesn't have to be an extremely limited amount of time. So, and it's not really super important on how long it lasts because there's no hard cap there. So I haven't set a specific amount of time, but like all of our pre-sale raises, they all last seconds, right? I haven't had one that lasted more than 2 minutes. So expect the raise and launch to all happen same day.
Okay. I just don't know exactly when it'll be in that 48-hour window when I'll have the opportunity to take my Rev and transfer it to L2. If it doesn't
at the end of the 48 hours.
Okay.
When the 48-hour countdown hits 0, liquidity will be removed and we'll open up the pre-sale.
Got it. So it'll be a countdown.
Yeah, a 48-hour countdown. Everybody will get plenty of advance notice. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
The 48-hour countdown starts as soon as the farm stops emitting tokens, which is on Tuesday.
Forex, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, you can ask me a question, but then I'm going to go to people with their hands up because people have been waiting with their hands up, and now people are just unmuting and asking questions. But yeah, I'll answer your question, and then I'm going to continue with people that have their hands up.
I would have done that, but I don't have any way of raising my hand. That option went away.
Mine too.
I'm not sure why that went away. All right. Anyway, let me just see if anybody has their hands up.
Hey, Forex, let me ask you a quick question if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to let these other people that just asked, just one person at a time. So, Jay, you asked first. So, Jay, you can go first.
Forex, thank you so much. Making history. Very quick question. Forex, at the beginning of the 48 hours, basically when emission stops, just to clarify, that means that the only way to get Rev would be to buy it out of Pancake Swap, right?
True.
So the only way we're going to be able to buy Rev in that 48 hours, I would imagine, Forex, that Rev price is going to be going a bit up since, there's, no more emissions. Rev is just going to continue going up.
Exactly.
Will you?
Yeah.
So I think a question that a number of my friends have in the chat is the Rev price at the end of the 48 hours. I don't know. Let's say it's whatever it is, 300. You're going to honor that price? That's a big question. Great.
Yeah. I'm going to honor it, but it's very easy to honor it because all of that capital is being removed and migrated over. So, is being honored because that capital isn't going anywhere. That price that the token is, the thing that's giving that token that price is the BUSD and the BNB in that liquidity pool, and all that BUSD and all that BNB in that liquidity pool is being migrated over. So absolutely, that's the price where that liquidity is removed and removed both through unpairing and through swapping of the rev tokens that we've accumulated through the buybacks, is the price that will be honored in the pre-sale, of course.
Thank you, Forex. And
yeah.
Also, basically, I mean, owning a piece of the farm is passive income for life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no other project that has even so we have about 4 mechanics that no other project has. Every single one of them is extremely powerful, and every single one of them addresses the supply and demand side of the calculation to allow for price appreciation, to allow people to earn essentially a dividend on their ownership of the platform, to cause price appreciation, and for us to be able to outperform any other platform out there. And on top of this, we're doing this lending on the back end to earn an additional 30-40% APY to make sure it's sustainable into the future, as far as there doesn't need to be any kind of centralized leadership. I could get hit by a car tomorrow. Those gas fees, those buybacks, all that will still be maintained through the contracts themselves, and that gas will be paid through the transactions that through the back end lending, essentially. Now, also, I'll just say this one more time because I brought it up. But it was the first time I said this anywhere. It's not even in the white paper yet. We made an adjustment to the tax protocol of the dog token. So previously, and how it's listed in the white paper is the dog token has 3 associated taxes: a 3% tax when you do a swap, and this is the BUSD that it's swapped for, or whatever token you swap it for, is turned into BUSD and sent to the pig stakers, the people in the pigs governance pool. So this is a consistent cash flow of BUSD that goes to them. There's another 3% that goes to the liquidity pool, and it creates locked liquidity. Now, the previous protocol and how it's listed in the white paper is that half that the 3% of dog token that is transacted will be sold for BUSD paired with the dog token, and that will create locked permanent liquidity. And of course, that dog is being sold, that capital isn't being removed from the value of the token. It's just being added to a liquidity pool. We made an adjustment, and this is another major innovation that we made that no other farmer is doing, where instead of that additional BUSD that is being used to add liquidity to dogs coming from the selling of dog tokens on transaction, it's coming from the deposit fee. So when someone does a deposit, a small percentage of that BUSD goes into the contract, and now every time someone transacts dogs, 3% of that transaction then gets paired with the BUSD that was sent to the contract from the deposit fees, and this causes price appreciation. It's a form of buyback while adding locked decentralized liquidity and a higher, so it raises the price floor while raising the price while creating further locked decentralized liquidity. There's no other project that's doing this, and this is a major adjustment and innovation that we made over the past few days, right? So, it's just it gets better and better, and I get so excited about these things because I just know how powerful it's going to be. So the next person that was asking, I don't know who it was, but feel free to ask. Also, yeah, okay.
Sorry, I'm kind of just getting in here. I know I'm kind of late. This may have been something that you all have already touched up on and stuff, but from migrating from L1 into L2, I know that pretty much your rev is split 50-50 in the pigs and dogs, but the value at which we leave our rev when trading stops, are we essentially going to be holding the same? Well, we'll be holding more value because of the 20%, but is pigs and dogs going to essentially start around the same price floor?
No, because there's different supplies. There's a different supply of dog and pig tokens. So
Okay.
So you're not going to get the same amount of dog and pigs as far as a token amount, but you're going to get the same USD value of each one.
Okay. Yeah. That's, I guess, essentially what I'm getting at. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Hey, Daily Guru, I know you had your hand up, and I don't know if it went down because for whatever reason the hand function just stopped working. I don't know. I don't know if an admin changed something while we were going or Telegram is just weird, but feel free to butt in whenever.
Hi, Forex. I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Okay, cool.
The DRIP BUSD LP tokens we have staked in the farm now, the L1 farm. How are they migrated across?
So they're not. This is what I was saying. There's no incentive to be a liquidity provider in the last 48 hours of Rev. So the incentive goes from being the incentive / utility goes from being a launchpad token for L2 / farm reward token. At the end of the 48 hours, that farm reward token utility is dropped because it's no longer emitting rewards as a farm reward token. And this is when you'll want to remove your liquidity token from the farm, unpair the token, and either unpair the token and have your BUSD and Rev, or what I know a lot of people are going to do is unpair the token, use that BNB or use that BUSD that they had paired with the Rev to buy Rev to get a larger share of it.
I'm referring to the DRIP BUSD LP token, not the Rev BUSD, the DRIP BUSD. Because I believe it mentions on the white paper that allows you to get the pig tokens on L2.
It does, yeah. This is a major new utility and use case for pigs. For DRIP is to be able to earn the pig tokens. It's the only non-core token on L2 that allows you to earn pigs. It has a high multiplier for pigs, but we don't have the ability to migrate anybody's LP tokens over. So if you look at the Paladin audit, or if you know how to read code, you can read code. The only functionality or the only ability that we have to move people's LP tokens is over to the PancakeSwap lending protocol, where it then earns the additional 30-40% APY. And then when people withdraw from the platform, it automatically withdraws from PancakeSwap, migrates it over to our MasterChef contract, where they withdraw from there. So we don't have the ability to migrate anybody's LP over or anybody's tokens over. So everybody will have to migrate their capital over from themselves. And this is another reason why this is important, but also extremely bullish for Rev holders, is because this means we're going to have another huge wave of TVL coming in to L2, and they're going to be paying the deposit fees, and all of those deposit fees go to the people that are the owners in the pigs protocol. So that means it's going to be 4 to 6% of 50 million, 100 million, 500 million, whatever the end value is, that's going to be paid to the people in the pig pen. That and the way you get into the pig pen immediately at launch is by being in the pre-sale, right? So you're going to have to handle migrating liquidity over yourself. We don't force anybody's liquidity over. We don't have the ability to do that. We wouldn't want to do that. So it's up to every individual to decide how much they want to migrate over, if they want to add more, if they want to migrate a portion, if they want to migrate. It's on everybody to decide, at their own, for their own strategy, right? Basically.
Forex. Let me show people something real quick on the screen share. So guys,
Yeah.
when we're migrating into L2, at the end of L1, you'll be able to take out your LP here, but you don't necessarily need to break up your tokens. What you can do is just hold it in your wallet. So what I suggest you guys do is add the token contract of the LP to your wallet so it doesn't get lost in the sauce. And then you'll be able to do that by going to the details section and then go to view contract. And then you can save this contract address here, which is the LP address for your DRIP and BUSD liquidity pool pair. And you can save it in your MetaMask wallet by going to import tokens. So you could just hold it down, wait for L2, and then you'll be able to restake your LP tokens in L2. Import tokens, enter the contract address right here, add custom token, and then you can just have your LP tokens there.
Hey.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah. So you don't need to unpair your token. The one token that you will want to unpair is your rev, because at that point, there's no real utility to be a liquidity provider for rev in that last 48 hours, and all of the utility is in holding the rev itself. So I would say all of your liquidity pairs, remove them from the farm in those 24 hours, but don't unpair them. Just keep them ready for L2, except for your rev. Your rev, you're going to want to remove that liquidity, and you're most likely going to want to use the additional capital on the other side of that pool to buy rev. So you're fully in rev instead of being split across half rev, half BUSD, or half BNB. But yeah, so.
Sorry, please.
You're breaking up.
Sorry, please. Can you repeat what you just said now about pairing and unpairing?
Yeah. So I said that when you get out of L2, when you want to migrate your liquidity tokens to L2, you don't need to unpair all of your LP tokens, such as like your BUSD, Tether, your BNB, BUSD, all of these non-core LP tokens. You don't want to unpair those, right? Because that's just going to be additional transactions, additional gas that you're paying for no reason. You can just remove those LP tokens from the farm and then deposit them in L2. The one token that you will want to remove liquidity from is the Rev token. And that's because at the end of 48 hours, at the end of the farm, when we start the 48-hour countdown, there'll be no more rewards emitted for liquidity providers for Rev. So at that point, there's no incentive to being a liquidity provider for Rev, and all of the incentive is being a Rev holder. So that's when you're going to want to remove your Rev from the farm. You're going to want to unpair it. You're going to want to use the BNB or BUSD that you had paired with it to buy the Rev. So instead of that capital being in the Rev liquidity pool, now it's fully into the Rev token, and now you can use that in the L2 presale. So that's all I was getting at there.
Forex, if I may ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
My question is, as far as the dog and pig tokens go, as you guys say, like the pigs are what you call the governance token, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
That token, is it something like, for example, myself, I do not have large amounts of capital that I can put in at the moment. But is it something that if I don't get in on early, I will not be able to get in on, or I will eventually earn?
No, so if you get in on the presale with Rev, you will get it at the best possible price with the largest possible allocation. After the launch of L2, you'll be able to get pig tokens two ways, either by buying it directly off of PancakeSwap, or by farming it.
Is there a market limit circulating supply?
Yeah, well, both of these tokens have a relatively low circulating supply, which is going to cause price appreciation. But, of course, you want price appreciation as an investor. So you will be able to buy both dog and pig tokens off of PancakeSwap. The only way that you'll be able to farm pigs is by the dog single asset pool, dog BUSD, dog BNB, or drip BUSD. So the highest multiplier, the farm that pays out the largest amount of pigs is dog BUSD. That's followed by dog BNB, and then drip BUSD, and then the single asset dog pool. That's how it goes as far as which pools and farms are going to pay out the most. And then that's the only way you can get pig tokens is by farming it in those core pools or buying it directly off the market.
So there will not be a point where those farms stop emitting pig tokens?
No. So the way it works is it's similar to drip in the sense that the way that the total supply is managed is through the protocol. So it's not a hard set cap on the supply, but the protocol ensures that it never goes over a specific amount and essentially is a deflationary asset. So like if you notice with drip, it started off with 1 million drip in circulation. Now we have something like 150,000 drip in circulation and only 40,000 in the liquidity pool. But there's no cap on drip. It's just that the protocol is designed for drip to be deflationary. And that's the same mechanism that allows us to have a controlled supply of the dog and pig tokens. Specifically using our supply control algorithm, which looks at the current demand for the token and adjusts the emission rate efficiency based on this demand. And then when you pair this supply control algorithm with the deflationary tax protocol, it allows the system to become deflationary when it needs to allow for price appreciation. So this is the way that the total supply is controlled. As far as will it always be available to earn? Yes. And the reason for this is because L2 is designed to be a sustainable model for years into the future. We don't want to have any baked in termination point where it no longer becomes a functional platform because it's not giving out rewards anymore. So we allowed the system to not have any termination point by not baking in some sort of terminal endpoint by creating a capped supply, but we're addressing the supply side of things through our deflationary model and supply control algorithm. So I hope that answers your question. It's a little long-winded, but
Yeah, that does. Thanks a lot.
Forex, can I please ask quickly about the drip utility again in layer 2, specifically about the APR to that liquidity pair? I know that in the current farm, that drip BUSD pool does have slightly less of a multiplier on it compared to the Rev BUSD pool and the Rev BNB pool. And one thing that at least we speculate might be happening because of that is people are selling drip to buy into the higher paying pools, to buy Rev with their drip to pay into the higher paying pool. So while there is obviously utility in that drip token there, it does seem that there is, just by nature of the multipliers, some incentive just to sell the drip and put it directly into the higher paying pools. Can you speak to what those relative percentages might be on L2 and how you expect the utility of drip to hold up in those pools compared to the other pools?
Yeah, so I don't see much evidence that people are selling drip for Rev. Obviously, at the initial launch, right? People look at it at any launch like an opportunity for a quick come up, and people have made a lot of money in drip, so they see an opportunity to take some profit that they made in drip and make a quick 20x or 50x on it. And but what we've seen is they've then taken that profit and a lot of it has gone back into drip. And if you look at the price of drip, we're up from like $50 something at the launch back up to 70 something dollars while the whole market is down 25+%. So we see a lot of that capital that's being earned in the farm being circulated back into drip. And this isn't about creating some sort of short-term pump of drip, right? This is about creating a long-term use case for drip that creates a sustainable incentive for people getting in with drip. So you're always going to see some kind of shakeup in the existing protocols when some new when some new opportunity is, you know, exposed to a community that is invested in all of the protocols. But as we see, like with drip and you know, what's been happening over the course of the past few days is this capital is now starting to circle back into drip. And they have such different dynamics, you know, the drip faucet and the reservoir and the drip network and the Manor Farm and the animal farm, that I see them appealing to two separate investor bases outside of our community. So of course they're both going to appeal to people that are inside of the community, and this is going to cause some shakeup initially at launch, like we saw, but then it also attracts a ton of new capital from outside of the community that were not part of drip that now come in and they get exposed to drip and they start putting capital into drip. And at any point, the way that these APYs work is not any kind of like set APY. There's a set multiplier, but not a set APY. So at any point, people start selling drip to buy dog or pig or to buy rev, and they're not getting into that drip pool. What that's going to do is increase the APY for the drip pool, now making drip more attractive. So yeah, as expected, we'll see a shakeup in the price of all tokens in an associated community when there's a launch of some new opportunity. But in the long run, you see that it all ships get lifted, right? And you can look at BREAP, you can look at REAP, you can look at any of the other protocols I've launched. When something new launches, there's a shakeup, but then very shortly after that, you know, a week or two down the line, you see that these other projects that are tied into the new one are now making all-time highs, and they have more capital than they've ever had invested in them. So this is what I would expect, and you know, I don't think it's making any kind of reach to expect it. I think it's like a very obvious projection that we'll see is in the long run, more incentive for drip, more capital coming into drip, more drip being removed from circulation. And as far as APYs go, that's something that is self-adjusting. So if you look at both the garden and the animal farm, we had something like $7 million worth of liquidity in drip before the launch of that. We now have like $17 million worth of liquidity just on PancakeSwap. We have another like 12 million or something on our native DEX. So we went from having $7 million of liquidity to something like, you know, $35-40 million worth of liquidity through the implementation of these new use cases and new utility and new incentives to buy and remove drip from circulation. So seeing a price shakeup on launch, not surprising. Seeing the price start to appreciate basically immediately after the launch and continue to make gains, also not surprising. And this is exactly what I expect to see into the future. I mean, if you look at our BUSD pair on PancakeSwap, we've done nothing but appreciate in value from like 24 hours after the launch of the farm. The native DEX, we also went from like $59 all the way up to $80 We then had the market as a whole dump 25%. Now, our native DEX is still paired with BNB, so that's going to cause a bit of a correction on DRIP, but we've outperformed BNB. So there's obviously fresh capital coming into DRIP, not being removed from DRIP. So yeah, that's kind of the long answer to it. It's like, yeah, you expect to see some minimal shakeup. The shakeup for the shakeup that we'll see in L2 is going to be significantly less than the shakeup in L1 because those people that have gotten into so the price correction we saw in DRIP was not due to a higher APY in Rev days after the launch, right? It was people taking profit in DRIP to create that initial pairing of whatever pool they got into. Once that was created and once we got past that initial launch phase, it's been steady capital coming back into DRIP. And a lot of that has to do with just DRIP on itself, but also the exposure and the new value we're bringing into DRIP. With L2, that liquidity has already been created. So, I don't see any kind of, massive wave of people taking DRIP profits to add to a liquidity pair, right? Those liquidity pairs have already been created. So I just see more use case, more utility, and more pressures that are causing price appreciation in DRIP. And anybody that does some sort of short-term speculation in DRIP will end up paying more in the end because those same people, they paid their 10% to deposit, they paid their 10% to withdraw, they paid their 10% to sell. So that's a 30% hit, right? And now DRIP is back around, $75, $80 around that point. It's just about where it was before the launch of the farm. It's not down 30%. So those people that tried that short-term speculation, they're now out of DRIP, and they paid more in taxes than any kind of, hit than they would have taken if they just stayed in DRIP. So, it's these kinds of things are like, if you're someone that's like hyper focused on short-term movement, maybe you might want to make a big deal about it. But people that see the long-term vision for this recognize that the animal farm and everything else we're doing is a massive, massive benefit. And it's a massive promotional point for DRIP. All these people that ask what's the utility for DRIP, it's another utility for DRIP. And it's a huge incentive for people to buy DRIP and remove it from circulation. So so that's that. And any kind of shakeup that we'll see in the launch of L2 is not going to be anything comparable to what we saw with L1, because the majority of people that did remove liquidity or, sold DRIP at the launch of L1, they did it to add liquidity. That liquidity is already added. And you have to keep in mind that DRIP limits people on how much that they can withdraw, right? So we had a lot of people that have been in since pre-sale that were up tons of money that used the launch of L1 as their opportunity to take profit and get into that. Those same people now 2 weeks later, they don't have the ability to remove DRIP like they just did, because it's only a 1% daily ROI that becomes available. On top of this, we're getting close to the end of the year. DRIP has a 365 max payout for people that aren't compounding. So that means that all those people that got into DRIP at launch and at pre-sale and have just been draining it or building up DRIP for the opportunity to drain it, all those people are hitting max payout. This is extremely bullish because that means that very shortly, in the next month or so, the only people that are going to be left with available payouts in DRIP are people that got in after launch and after pre-sale and people that are compounding And these people don't have nearly the size stakes as the people that got in at launch and they've just been accumulating, right? So drip is about to hit a major turning point where all of that early whale money is going to start drying up, and it's going to be that much more decentralized, and the share holdings of everybody involved will be that much more spread out, and everybody has that much smaller of a share, because those people that came in on pre-sale and just went all out, like I know there's a couple people that made millions of dollars, and they went hard, and now they've been taking profit. They're hitting max payout within a month, and that's a ton of money that will not be leaving the system, that is currently leaving the system. And we're still seeing price appreciation against the crash of the rest of the market while these people are taking profit who won't be able to take profit in about a month. So, drip is about to really, really show people what it's made out of. Not just in the partnership, just in the core mechanics of our core contracts, get to a kind of terminal point where those early whales that have not been growing the system are hitting their max payout and will not be able to drain anymore. We're getting there. We're about a month away.
Hi, Forex. Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm currently in the stable coin pools, so the TUSD and BUSD. Are we going to see those pools in L2?
Yeah, all the pools that are in L1 will be in L2. Any additional pools that we add is going to be through our layer 3 vaults in the form of partnerships. And the way that will work is there'll be people that want to want exposure and want the utility of our platform. They'll give a share of their total supply to be used as a reward for people that get into those L3 vaults. So, for example, say, let me just throw a random project out there that won't cause any drama. Wrapped ETH. Let's say that Vitalik comes to me tomorrow and he's like, I want ETH to be a partner with the Animal Farm. What I'll say to them is, all right, what we need to do is put aside some percentage of the total supply of wrapped ETH to be used as a reward for people who enter the vault. And then people who pair our core tokens with wrapped ETH will get paid out in the wrapped ETH rewards that have been put aside by that team to be used as a reward. And it acts as a major cross promotion for both teams. And it allows us to add more pairs and more opportunity to our farm without adding more emission and more inflation to do it, because the rewards that are being paid out are in our partners' tokens, not in ours. But it still, incentivizes people to buy more of our tokens, remove more of our tokens from circulation, lock them up, and it incentivizes people to buy more of our partners' tokens as well and add more liquidity to our partners' tokens. And then the cross-promotion, the utility we provide. So it's a major win-win. And because of this, I'm going to need to put someone on full-time just handling these partnership requests, because I have them crazy backlog right now. There's dozens of projects who are reaching out. Some of them big, some of them small. And I need to start going through these. So I'm going to end up putting one of my admins essentially in charge of just dealing with partnerships, because we're at that point now. So guys, if I'll answer like 3 more questions, but then I got to get going because I have people waiting for me. For
All right, can I ask one question and make a statement as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
So first question is, someone wanted me to ask you what happens if we don't pull out after the liquidity is pulled, like if we have something in one of the pools, what happens there? And then also my statement is that I noticed the Manor Farm has attracted a lot of new people that don't really know you and that don't really know the drip. And so I actually made a little documentary about you. And I just wanted to say
awesome.
that I made that. If I could get some permission to post that for you.
I would say, yeah, you can post whatever you want, make whatever you want. If you want me to promote it, of course, which I'm sure you do, just DM it to me and I'll get a chance to watch it. And then for sure, yeah, we'll promote it.
Sure, man. I love that. I worked pretty hard on it.
And then what I would say about if you are providing liquidity to any of the pools or farms, there is no locking mechanism. So if you don't remove them from the contracts, they'll just remain in the contracts till you do remove them, and that's that. If you have, say, just to throw some name, BUSD, USDT, you have that in the Manor Farm right now. For whatever reason, you get sick, you don't have attention or whatever the case is, and the Manor Farm ends, and now it's been a week, and you still haven't withdrawn them, you can just go to the Manor Farm front end and withdraw them. They're still there. They're not locked. And that's it. There's, any LP tokens or single assets that are in the Manor Farm, they're accessible to the owners of them at any point. You can withdraw them, and that will always be the case, right?
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah,
I have
no
one
problem. Yep.
Yeah, as far as the pre-sale, right? It seems like it's two pre-sales, a private and a public. For the private, it says you need 300 REAP, right?
Yep.
So for those that buys that 300 REAP, right, do they get like first dibs and after it's the public? How does that go?
It's the private is limited. So the private raise will be limited to a percentage of the capital that we migrate over. So we don't know how much capital will be migrated over from L2, from L1 to L2 until L1 finishes. But the amount of capital that we'll raise privately will be based on a percentage of that that capital that's migrated over, and it will be primarily for people in the DAO. Not only that, I have a friendly dev, right? Someone that I know is a solid dev who has created a project that I think is pretty cool. I think it has some good potential, and we're gonna raise capital for him privately in the next couple weeks. So that's gonna be another huge private pre-sale opportunity that are only for DAO members for a project that isn't mine, but that I have confidence in. And on top of that, we have a few other projects that are building on top of Drip, a few other development teams, and they're going to have private raises as well. And we're going to handle at least a portion of those private raises in the DAO. So there's about to be a bunch of opportunity for people to get into private pre-sales, not just projects that I've developed in the DAO group. So I would say what always happens is when it's announced and we give some sort of countdown for the private sale in the DAO, the price always breaks new all-time highs. It always does 10, 20x, usually 20 plus X. So if you're interested in that, I would say try to beat people to the punch. Don't wait till the announcement and the countdown to buy when it's 20x higher.
But if you're in a DAO, you already have a heads up.
Yeah, so the people that are in the DAO, they already know the project that we're going to be doing a raise for. That's one of my friend devs. It's in review. So what we do is I have people reach out to me all the time that want to raise capital. In our DAO group, we can raise hundreds of millions of dollars in seconds, right? I can make a call, say, what do you guys feel about this? If they like it, we set a date, and we can raise hundreds of millions of dollars like instantly. So that's a lot of power. So I have a lot of dev teams coming to me wanting us to handle their private raise. And they also know that, we can give them exposure, and anybody that does a raise through me, I've done my own audits with their contracts, me and my team. And we also, any kind of capital that I raise for another project, I handle it the whole way. I'm the one that adds the liquidity. I'm the ones that locks liquidity. This is the way we can ensure the DAO members that there can't be any kind of rug pull or any kind of thing like that. So people that are in the DAO, they get the assurance that any kind of raise that we do in there has been vetted by me. The capital raise and the liquidity is being added by me and locked by me. And then once it's locked, I migrate the ownership over to the dev team. So, Reap is my first project that I launched under my own name. I work for a lot of other major development teams like MaDAO and BlockClout and a ton of, I could list dozens Trust Swap, and I could list dozens of teams that I worked with. Reap was the first one that I just went out on my own and built my own token, and I created a DAO out of it. And right now we're up something like 17,000% from listing, and every time we do a raise, we break a new all-time high, and we typically do 20 plus X when that announcement's made. So this was one of my examples of, yeah, when we launched BREAP, some attention got taken away from REAP, and there was a little bit of a shakeup in the first 24 hours or something. But now you look a year later, and REAP is up 17,000% higher than it was before we launched REAP, and that's because these new projects that we added new utility, new demand, new use cases, new incentives to buy and lock the token. And that's the same with Drip. That's the same with any project I build. Whenever I create a project, it's how is this project going to affect the current ecosystem? How is it an improvement on the current ecosystem? And how will it benefit holders of my existing projects? And I always go into projects with this kind of mind state. And that's the reason why REAP is at all-time high, like 2 years later, even though I've launched 3 or 4 other projects, depending on how you want to define projects, staking contract tokens, So you can go.
So basically, just joining the DAO it's a benefit to get into the pre-sale, but it's also a benefit for other projects. So
yeah, and it's also
it wasn't like the 300 REAP is just for the pre-sale only, and and what happens to your coin, your token, REAP token. But I get it.
No, you hold those REAP tokens, so
you keep it.
You buy, you keep it. So you hold those 300 REAP tokens. When you have those 300 REAP tokens in your wallet, you can then interact with a link that if you go into the Drip Telegram group, you hit //DAO, it will give you a link. You can click that link. That link will bring you to a website. That website will ask you to connect your wallet. When you connect your wallet, it will see if you have 300 or more REAP in your wallet. If you do, it will give you a link to a private Telegram group. This private Telegram group is where we do all our raises. That REAP never leaves your wallet. You always have that REAP. You can sell it in the future. If it leaves your wallet, you will get automatically booted from the DAO group because that bot is constantly monitoring the blockchain, constantly monitoring your wallet. And if that REAP ever moves from your wallet, it acts as an administrator in the private group and will kick you. But as long as you have that REAP in your wallet, you can – not only is it where we host private raises from all of my projects and my friends' projects, other developers that I trust, it's also a great information sharing group. We're always in there talking about our different plays, what we have going on, what we think is good. The project Spell, we got into Spell at launch. It ended up doing like 250, 300x. And I announced getting into it at launch because I had developed a protocol that was Spell. Essentially, it was exactly Spell before Spell was a thing. But I decided to go with Drip instead of that. And I kind of put that on the shelf, and then Spell launched, and I was like, oh, this is a good project. I was going to launch this project, so I already knew the mechanics very well. And I told the people in the DAO, hey, this is going to be big. I know the developer. I know the game theory. It makes sense. I'm getting into it. And then it did 200, 300x, whatever it did. So we have information sharing like that. It's not a call group. I would never say it's a call group because I'm not telling people to buy or sell.
Yeah,
but it's a good information sharing group.
A little private alpha Telegram group. Sort of. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, you answered it correctly. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Forex?
Go ahead.
I'm a aspiring blockchain dev, and I'm just looking, where could we potentially send resumes if you're looking for anybody? I'm an investor in both as well. I'm in and the Animal Farm.
Yeah, so if you send something to he'll forward it to me, or I don't want to, or Angel, he'll forward it to me. If you send it to me, I likely won't see it because I get so many messages every day that they just get buried. But
I believe you.
But yeah, well, one of the reasons for that is because my Telegram is associated with our coin market cap and our CoinGecko and our DEX tools and all of these sites. So there's all kinds of bots and spammers and all these people that are just looking at the owners of newly listed projects or listed projects and just send them DMs all day, every day. So I get like thousands of DMs all day, every day. So the best way to tag me and tag an admin in one of the groups, and then also DMing an admin and let them know. And you can try to DM me. If I see it, I'll get to you, but I just rarely see it. And we are always looking for people, you know. What I would say the thing that we could use the most right now is like front end React devs that have experience in like web design. That's probably where we need where we could, I don't want to say use the most help, but we could contract out some tasks there. We have room for that. As far as like contracts, we kind of have that handled, but you know, I have multiple people that are coming to me that want to build something for Drip that need developers. I have people all the time asking me to develop things. So if someone wants to develop and come to me, I don't have time for it. I could always forward them to someone that I know is a good dev that has something to do with Drip, right? So yeah, it makes sense if you wanna reach out to me, and you know, I'll add you to my DM group or one of my DM folders, so I'll end up probably seeing it if you send me a DM.
Thank you, Forex, you know what I was gonna say, Forex. Look, guys, take an example from what the Grinch did. He went out on his own and he made a calculator for Drip. So I think one of the best resumes that you could show Forex is you actually going on your own and building something that maybe the community can utilize. And then you can say, yo, Forex, look, I built this. And that'll be so impressive to show Forex that you took it upon yourself to build something that the community can actually use.
Oh, yeah. There's a ton of room for that, too. There's so much room for people to build tools and analytic tools and, you know, charting software and, you know, different kinds of indicators that could, for example, an indicator I was thinking of would be an indicator that looks at the contract, because we have the ability to send read calls to the contract to be able to see how many people are staked, how much they have, how much net positive they are, how much they'll be able to withdraw in the future, how much they've already withdrawn. So someone could build a front end with a bunch of indicators that tell like how much capital is in the system, how much is still available to be claimed in the future, how like the top 10 holders hit max payout. Like there's so many different indicators that could be built that anybody could step up and build. And, you know, there are things that I want to build in the future, but of course we have so much we want to build. People from the community could step up and build it. And sure, not only would be a massive help to you as an investor in Drip, you would also get a lot of attention. It'll help you build your team. You'll get donations. The Grinch has monetized his platform. There's like a pro version. So there's so much room to be had for people that want to build specifically indicators for Drip, like some of the things I was just mentioning. And if you want some ideas for that, maybe we could get on like a 3-minute call or something. I could just give you a quick breakdown of some cool things that could be built.
Yeah, I wrote those down, so thank you.
Your DAO community, we have to have 300 reps.
Reap is the first token. It's an ERC20. It's the first one I ever launched. It's like over a year old. It's like almost a couple years old. And it's doing amazing. It's essentially the ERC20 version of BREAP. It has the same exact mechanics of BREAP. It launched before BREAP, but instead of being tied into the Drip network, it's a DAO token. So it gives access to a private group.
I just want to say it's all in the documentary. I'll post it right now.
Okay, DM it to me first so I can check it out.
Will pre-sales be for both pigs and dogs, or will one pre-sale be allocated for 50-50?
So you send in, if you're in the DAO, you send in BUSD. If you're sending in Rev, which is the public raise, you'll send in the Rev, and you'll get an equal dollar amount of dog and pigs, and it will be handled automatically. You just send the Rev in, and you get back equal dollar amount of of P-Dog and P-Pig, right? Which stands just for the pre-sale token of dog and pig.
There is no limit for Rev.
There's no limit for Rev, and the reason why we don't have to limit Rev is because all of that capital is being migrated over and then paid out over a period of time. So it essentially takes all that demand, locks it up, and then slowly pays it out over the course of the L2 rollout period. So because of that, we don't need to have any kind of cap on the Rev. Also, 40% of all of the capital that is migrated over goes directly to buying and removing from circulation the dog and pig tokens. So I'm more bullish on the game theory and mechanics of the Manor Farm. I hope the Manor Farm and now the Animal Farm, which is our L2 implementation. I'm gonna head off now. If Bartertown or anybody wants to stick around, we can keep the voice chat open. Let me just say that I'm extremely appreciative to everybody that stayed in here and listened to all of the details of the platform. I know a lot of you are just as excited as I am. You guys are very intelligent, one of the most intelligent groups of people I've ever found in crypto, and this is very apparent by the civility and the how everybody works together, the cooperation in the group, and in the performance of the tokens itself, because you could tell people really realize where the value is and how to exploit it. And it's not in the short-term flip. It's in the ownership of a network, which is what you're getting exposure to here in the next few days. So we're going to change the game. We are implementing multiple mechanics that give us a first mover advantage. We're addressing both the supply and demand side to cause price appreciation in any given market conditions. Right now, if you think the market is kind of shit and we're going down, the best way to play bear markets is through a yield farm lending protocol. You're not going to make profits from shorting crypto, at least not in the long term. And most likely you'll get liquidated. If you deal with one of these centralized lending protocols, you're going to make 15% a year, maybe, and hopefully whoever owns it doesn't run away with the money or they do something stupid. The Animal Farm is the only true decentralized lending protocol that lends collateral at low risk to PancakeSwap while allowing you to farm yield as a liquidity provider. It's the only one that allows you to be in ownership of the network. It's the only one that allows you to secure BUSD and remove that element of speculation, remove that that incentive for selling. It allows you to secure profit, take risk off the table in the form of BUSD. Tens of millions of dollars worth of BUSD are going to get paid out just in the first couple of weeks of launch of L2. And it's something that I'm extremely proud to present to the people that are involved in Drip and BREAP and REAP and all of my projects. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. And we'll do this again. I'll get back on here in the next couple of days, definitely before the launch. But I have a few big YouTube interviews to take care of. So we'll be doing another AMA with X Network, which is the largest venture capitalist crypto group. They have a private venture capitalist group that has people that have been around in the space since the early 2011, 2012 that are super whales. Hundreds of them, they're involved in that group that I'm about to do an AMA for. It will then be transcribed and released on a Medium article. We'll also be marketing to their public groups. As soon as I get out of this call, I have a couple meetings with development teams and also a marketing team that are waiting for me to send capital over so we can get more banner ads, some more placements up on some high traffic sites. And, I would say most importantly, we all need to work together to get out there and spread the word. What will help with that is different translations, right? So we're working on native translations for both Drip and the Animal Farm, and a UI update for Drip. But stay tuned. Next week, next Thursday, we'll be launching and releasing the full 2022 roadmap for Drip, which is extremely bullish. And, there'll be more info dropping in the next couple days. I got something pretty big to announce tomorrow as well involving one of these NFT projects. So you guys will hear about that. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I'll leave it open for a bit. And I got to head off, but I'll leave it open for a bit if one of the admins or anybody wants to, take over for a while, or Bartertown or anybody. But thanks, everybody, for being here. And, let's get it. We're changing crypto.
This has been one of the best AMAs I believe I have ever been a part of. I recently talked about my strategy on the Rev token going into layer 2. And I sent that out to my newsletter subscribers, my Crypto Passive Profits newsletter subscribers. You can subscribe to that newsletter. It's in the description. It's totally free. But there I told them right around the $30 mark, I told them that I was looking for a signal that we were at a bottom. We got that signal. I told them I ended up purchasing. We wrote it up, and now we're over $80 per Rev token. I told them specifically what I was going to be doing going into layer 2. And now with this, with the info that we got here, I'm going to be shifting that strategy up a little bit. So if you want to know exactly what I'm going to be doing, make certain you subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter down in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what I know. What Forex Shark is doing, the man is intelligent. He understands how to develop. And most importantly, he understands economics and tokenomics that drive users to want to be able to participate. And that is something that is incredibly rare in this entire ecosystem. He's got it. He understands it. This is extraordinary, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a favor and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know down in the comments. Say, well, I stayed till the end. Thank you so much for watching.